as a community of believers, we are called to lead, to service, and to be involved in building communities. And I know we give politicians a hard time, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
But I want you to grasp this. Somebody puts themselves out there. They don't get paid a lot of money. In many instances, they may not get paid anything. And then they become a lightning rod. Folk on one side don't like it. Folk on their own side don't like it. And then we expect them to serve. And then people sit on the sideline and fuss about what politicians are not doing. Public service is not easy.
Amen.
It has no rise, but it's not easy. And it truly is a call when you do it for the right reason. And so I just want to celebrate on this Sunday morning our state senator who's also running for governor. She can't talk to the governor, but state senator.
Thank you so much, Pastor Butler. Good morning, St. Paul. I'm so happy to be here with all of you this morning. If I might, I would like to share with you, very fitting with your sermon today, Pastor, a little bit about my personal testimony and how it is I came to be who I am and how it is I came to be on this journey, working to seize my moment, our moment. I came from a place of struggle like so many people in this state do. Raised by a single mom with only a 9th grade education who raised 4 children, and we struggled while she worked in a low-wage job. And I too became a very young single mom, and I know what it means to struggle. And I thought that my life was going to look like my mother's had. I remember those times sitting in the dark because I couldn't afford to pay my electric bill and praying to God and wondering why I had that burden. I remember a flat tire on my car would throw me for a loop that I didn't know how I was going to recover from. I remember praying to God, why? But like Paul, when he prays to God to remove that thorn from his side, and God says to him, my grace is sufficient.
Come on now. Come on now. Come on now.
I know that through every struggle I've had, as Paul says, have been my greatest blessings. I know that now. I know the journey that God had planned for me. And it brought me right where my feet are, standing in front of all of you today. And through those burdens came my blessings. To understand that people need a voice, someone who will fight for them, someone who believes in the power of education because she's seen it in her own life, someone who believes that every child in this state, no matter who they are or where they're from, how rich or poor, the color of their skin, they deserve to have their dreams come true if they are willing to work hard to help make it happen.
That's right.
Someone who understands that when you're working that 40-hour week and a 20-hour part-time job and it still isn't enough to keep the lights turned on. Someone who understands why we need an increase in the minimum wage. Someone who understands being raised by a single mom, why women need to be paid equally for equal work. Someone who understands that the value of education over incarceration is the investment that we ought to be making in this state. And someone who understands what it's like not to have health insurance, what it's like to be challenged by virtue of not having that precious privilege in her life, and who believes it's time to stop this ridiculous political posturing that serves the purpose only of spiting our president. And instead saying, we are going to bring $100 billion of our Medicaid expansion money to Texas and put it to work for us. Someone who understands. that people in this state deserve a voice, even though they can't be in the Capitol because they're working hard every day, trying to do the best for themselves and for their families, someone who will be that voice. It is our moment, my friends. It is our moment. And on November the 4th, we're going to make this happen with your blessings and your support. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Wendy and I have two things in common. Well, three things. We both grew up in single-family households. Below the poverty. We sound like below the poverty line. We both understand that education and Jesus is our salvation. And we both happen to go to Harvard. Thank you. And I just want in the spirit, in full disclosure, I prayed to God and said, well, am I going to let her say something? I said, the Spirit told me just let her share her story. Because it may, not just from a political standpoint, it may speak to somebody's life. Because you hear, the political advertisements and you hear the stomp speeches, but in the house of God, she don't get to say the thorn in her flesh. Here in the house of God, she gets to talk about that thorn and how God allowed her to move forward despite having that thorn. Because some of y'all got some thorns in your flesh. Some of those thorns are in flesh. Some people that represent thorns. So we want to encourage her and just ask God's blessings to be upon her as she continues to move forward. We want to be supportive. We want to go out and vote. Early voting starts tomorrow. And then get to the polls. And go to the polls early. Check this out, because we now have voter. You have to show up with your registration and your ID. So that means if you don't have the proper ID on election day, you can get turned away. So you need to go vote early. So if you got problems, you can get it fixed so you can get to the polls. Okay? Well, we need to go. Amen. So as we prepare to depart, we don't want to miss this moment. We don't want to miss a moment in our lives. We don't want to miss this moment as a state, as a nation. We don't want to miss this moment where God is calling us to greater in our spiritual journeys. So as the acolytes brought the light of this world into this place, we now prepare to take this moment of worship, to bundle it up, to bottle it up, and to let it explode in the world so that the people see Jesus in us, in what we say and what we do. We let our lights so shine that when we get praise, when someone calls our names, we just look up to heaven and say, "The head of the Lord on my side." So now that our worship has ended, our service begins. Let the church say amen. All right. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. God has moved. Let the church say amen. Let's try it. Boys, let's say it one more time. Let the church say amen. Let the church say My brothers and my sisters, I leave this with you on this day. Is I did not realize who I was encountering on the steps of Rome, the Spanish steps. Didn't realize It was Naomi Campbell. And someone tried to tell me I missed out on my moment. In like manner, I charge you today to leave this place with an acute awareness of your surroundings, your situation, and declare within your spirit that I am not going to miss this moment that God has placed before me. Go in peace and